Almost Sideways, a place for movie conversation. My name is Adam, and I've been recently going back and looking at the 2001 Oscar nominated films for Best Animated Feature. For the very first year that the Oscars did this was in 2001, and two other films were nominated along with Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. That was Monsters Inc. and Shrek. Those reviews are back up on the channel, so make sure you check the eye above my head or check the comments or the show notes for those reviews as well. Love to hear your takes on them. But anyway, today we're talking about the final nominee for this category. That's Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. And it was directed by John A. Davis. I don't really know too much about his animation style. He's directed films like The Ant Bully and Santa and the Snowman, which is 21 minutes short from 1997. Or Santa versus the Snowman, rather. Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius was a Nickelodeon original film. And I gotta say, out of all the films from 2001 that were nominated in this category, this is the one that feels the most dated and the most based in 2001. The animation style is pretty dang weird. I think my wife kind of said it reminded her a lot of The Very Odd Parents, and there's a age gap between her and I now watched that show, so I would have to take her word for it. But I do remember actually watching Jimmy Neutron quite a bit as a kid. My brother actually had this VHS tape or DVD. I can't remember exactly. One of those. We actually owned this movie, and we watched it quite a bit. I remember that the TV show came out shortly after the movie came out, and yeah, we watched a couple episodes, and it was fun seeing Jimmy Neutron and seeing these other characters. Carl. In this, you would know, if you know the movie, you would know that what that voice was. But anyway, it's a fun film that is not as interesting as the other movies, and it's kind of one of those forgettable Oscar-nominated movies for me. I totally forgot that it was nominated for animated feature. It doesn't feel like a film that traditionally, especially if today's world, this movie would not get nominated for the Oscar. But it was kind of in the right place at the right time. And I think maybe the Oscars kind of maybe giving this award and having this movie nominated kind of put the TV show on its back a little bit and say, hey, we're Nickelodeon, here's some love, and here's an Oscar nomination. So maybe the movie gets watched a little bit more, maybe have a TV show take off as well. But anyway, if you guys are unfamiliar with Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, it follows our boy genius, Jimmy Neutron, as he is doing all these different science experiments, and he wants to try to communicate with alien life forms. He thinks he picks up a message, but it's kind of gargly. So he shoots a toaster off into space that is a communication device. And of course, being kind of a shorter kid, and kind of a nerd, one of the smarter kids, he does get picked on, but he does have his trusty friend Carl by his side. And I do like their relationship in this movie. And wouldn't you know it, that toaster that Jimmy Neutron shot into space does attract alien life. And the aliens do come down. The alien is played, the lead alien is played by Patrick Stewart. And the little sidekick guy is by Martin Short, which is a good, an interesting combination of partners here too, so it's kind of that's interesting voice casting there. And then they come down to space and take all their the parents. So the kids have to go to space and save them. Logically, the movie doesn't make any sense. They go into space with no helmets, nothing like that. They just go off in space. They turn amusement park rides into rockets, and logically, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But it's a movie, and you got to shut your brain off for how long is this movie? 83 minutes, so it's not even that long. So, but I'm looking back as I'm a 30-year-old plus man, now 32-year-old man, and looking back now, what I would have to say positively about this movie is that there is some charm to it. If you have kids, my daughter actually seemed pretty invested in this movie. She watched it and she did kind of chuckle at some of the jokes. I think that a lot of the fun things about watching this movie so many years out is that you can kind of totally tell where 2001 kind of played a big part. It's like, oh yeah, I remember picking your ringtone out and having that as your ringtone for your phone instead of like you having a song or a special beat play when your phone rings. And there was a kid like character that did that exact thing, seeing a Walkman or being an action figure collector as a kid and going to school for show and tell. And you kind of remember things like that. And it's unlike the other films that were nominated in this category. It's the only one that can make you feel maybe like a kid again and know how it was to be in school, because that's where the subject matter took it. Jimmy Neutron is an interesting character, and if and actually looking back, I didn't even know who voiced her, because it's not, or voiced him at all, because there's not a ton of like the main cast played by big characters, but it's actually Debbie Derryberry, who also voiced in Toy Story, Wreck-It Ralph, and Aladdin, a bunch of actually classic Disney animation movies, and she comes over here as the voice of Jimmy Neutron. We also get some other big names too. Patrick Stewart is the King Gobot the Fifth, the main lead alien. I said Martin Short earlier. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Only two big kind of actors in this movie. I think Jim Cummings also played in this movie, as well as Ultra Lord. And I think my biggest like enjoyment level for this film was some of those little gags, those nostalgic, maybe not nostalgic feels, but those little feels, that reminders of what it was like as a kid back in that time. And also having some memories of watching this with my brother and kind of enjoying it back then. And also some of the soundtrack of the movie, not as good as Shrek, but a lot of the songs here I do really like, so I like seeing some of that as well. My negatives, it doesn't really hold up for me at all. The animation's really weird and awkward, and it's, as like I said, it would never be nominated today if it actually took place. But with that case, so with having an Oscar animated movie, they don't get it right all the time. But in 2001, there wasn't really a ton of great films to be nominated. You're not going to nominate straight to video movies. You're just going to nominate some stuff that went to theater. And fortunately, 2001 was a weaker year, I guess, for overall animation. We got two really great ones with Shrek and Monsters, Inc., but I digress on those. Jimmy Neutron is one of those movies that is a borderline 2-star movie, maybe a little lower based off quality, but I'm not going to hurt the movie too much for looking back on it so many years, and I'm trying to take my best time capsule feeling of rating this movie in 2001. So overall, I'm going to fall on a 2-star rating for me on this one, because I think the main reason is that, you know, my daughter sat through it and watched it, and kind of we had some fun watching it together with her, and I had those little fun feels. But logically, the story doesn't make sense. The animation is very buggy, and it just doesn't hold up. Goddard, the dog's name is Goddard. I remembered the dog's name. I was puzzling from the pod. If you're listening to this on audio, video, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but recorded a podcast, and now I remember the dog's name. Goddard is Jimmy Neutron's dog's name. But anyway, that's my quick takes on Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. I don't really have too much more to say about it. There's nothing really much to say. So let me know in the comments section down below what you guys thought of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. Did you guys like this movie? Do you remember this movie coming out? Rather, and then share your thoughts and opinions on the movie down in the comments section down below. Let's have a good conversation about that down there. Anyway, my name is Adam. Make sure you laser beam shrink ray that subscribe button right now to join the conversation. Make sure you guys check out our podcast. We're streaming on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and Pandora. We'd love to have you join the conversation there.